Hi there guys, welcome to this video. In this video we'll be importing footage into After Effects and we will be adding some basic effects to it. This video we're not going to get too far into the effects, just going to go over a basic few, but we'll give you some hints to kind of go through and kind of see how you can find some more effects and just play around with them and everything. That's the best way to learn how to use effects, is just to apply them and see what happens. It's very intuitive. This program makes applying and deleting effects so easy. Okay, now in this project we'll be using a few things. We'll be using 4 pieces of footage, and they're found in your media graphics production book, in the small one, not the big one, and they're going to be on the CD. They'll be located within Chapter 4 in the folder called Footage. Now, once you drag these to your desktop, just pick 4 of the items. Once you have your 4 selected, we can go and we can import them into After Effects. Let's go to File, Import, and we'll do multiple files. We'll just import these one by one. So let's go to our folder here. Mine is already there. And I'm going to pick my first file and press Open. And After Effects pops up automatically asking me which file I want to import next. And let's pick the next file. We'll press Open. We'll do the third file, Open again, and the last file. Whenever I press this will ask me again, but I'll press Done instead. It's the one right under the Open button. Once you have these files imported, we can drag one of them to your new composition file, and then we'll create a new comp based upon the size of this footage. Next, let's just drag each piece of footage down to your new layers here. Okay, and right now your video is about 5, 15, or 8 seconds long, however long it is. Well, I want this to be about 30 seconds. So the best way to do this is let's right-click, and we'll go to Composition Settings. Here is where you can edit all of your comp format here. You have your width and your height ratios. You can just change these in case you want to, but these are set to the footage size, so let's keep these the same. You can set your pixel aspect ratio, so whether it's for the web or for TV. For a TV, it should be 0.9. For the web, it should be 1.0. We'll do this for TV. And your frame rate's the same. And we'll change your duration here from 5 seconds. We'll go to 30 seconds. And 0 frames. So press OK when you do that, and you'll notice that your time scrubber jumped to be a very small area. So let's extend this, and what we can do now is let's move each one of these items out a bit. Okay, you want to have about a half-second overlap between each piece of footage here, because we're going to have some blends here. We're going to have one piece of footage kind of fade out or perform some kind of effect, and then we can have this footage kind of blend together there. Okay, so have about a half a second and about 6 or 7 seconds at the very, very end. Okay, this will be for our logo and for any kind of text that we have there. Okay, next, kind of scrub through, make sure this is in the right order. So if there's anything that you want prior to something, just kind of move this back and forth and whatever you want to do. So mine was fine. I'm going to keep this the way it was. And now that we have this set, we can go into our effects. When you bring your effects into this program, we need to go to the Effects and Presets panel. And I want to bring in about 3 effects for each layer here. So the first effect is going to be called Exposure. You can kind of navigate through these folders, or you can go to the Contains search bar. So let's just type in Exposure there. And it actually brings up the effect right here. So we can drag this over. We can drag it to your composition. We can drag it over here to your project, or we can drag it down to your layer. Since we only have one item here on this composition at this one time lot, we'll just drag it to our comp here. But if you have multiple things overlapping each other, I would suggest dragging it down to your layers here. So let's just drop it down here. And your effects opens up in its own little panel over here. This is called your effects controls panel. And you can see all the different things that we can kind of change for the exposure effects. You can also change the effects within the layer panel itself. We can open up the first layer, and you have the effects layer right here. And if we open up this, we have our first effect, which is called exposure. And you can see that it has the exact same things that you see over here. Now you can animate in both areas, whether it's here or your layer panel. I prefer to do it in the layer panel just because I have more control over where things are. So let's open up the master, and we will animate the exposure setting here. So do you see how small this set of footage is? we can shrink our timeline here so that that area grows, so that we have more control over where these keyframes are. The more frames you can see, the more precise we can add each one of these keyframes here. So let's drag it to about the 1 second mark. And what this effect is going to do is, if I scroll a little bit more and I bring my exposure unit up, it's going to enhance the brightness of this. It'll leave the darks dark, but it'll bring out the brightness. So we can drag this back and we can set the exposure right here. You can go up high, you can go up low, depending upon how you want this to look. I'm going to make mine right here maybe about a 4. And then you can drag this exposure up high to see the different effects here. Let's make this about 4 for this one here. Let's not go too crazy, but just so it's brighter. And we'll bring the keyframe over here, and then we'll add a 0 here. So what this is going to do is that it's going to start at 0 and then kind of flash like that. This will give it like a really gritty, like a really rustic effect here. So let's go and time some more, maybe about 2 seconds. We'll add another keyframe here. You want to press this little grayed out diamond shape between these two triangles. That's going to include a new keyframe. We'll go some more. We'll kind of scrub over some more there. Let me expand this so I can see more of what I'm doing. And we'll bring my exposure up. We'll go to about maybe 5 this time. And we'll scrub again, and then we'll close this. And let's go some more in my time. Go about 3:15. And we'll add another keyframe. My exposure is going to go higher again. And we'll close this again. We'll add another keyframe. My exposure is going to go higher with my next area. And then I'll close this. Like that. And my last here, for my transition, I want to have this thing kind of slowly gain some exposure. So let me add a keyframe here. And toward the end of this footage here, I'm going to add a second keyframe and make this exposure go kind of high, maybe about a 4.5. There we go. So as it ends, this is going to slowly gain brightness there. Slowly, kind of the exposure is going to be more full, like that. So you can go back and kind of see how this looks and everything. You can scrub through. Okay.